Hello everyone, welcome back to another video in this PHP to-do app series. So in this particular last couple of videos we have seen how to make our to-do app secure. So in the last two videos we have secured our app from SQL injection and XSS attack. Now today we are going to protect our app from CSRF attack. Okay, so cross-site request forgery attacks. Okay, now first let us see how this attack takes place, and then we will write the code to protect it. Okay, protect our app from getting attacked. Okay, so for this kind of a for this kind of an attack, what an attacker does is he tries to use softwares like Zap and Burp Suite to capture the request that is being sent and then repeat the request as many times as he wants. Okay, so let me just show you. So if I click on add new button, so whenever I type something over here and click on save, so there is some request going, right? So that request is captured and that request is resent many hundreds and millions of times to jam our database. Okay, now that can be very risky. If that kind of an attack is allowed, then that will quickly exhaust our database storage space. So it is very important that we try to resolve this. Okay, so let us see first how this attack takes place. So for that you will need a software called OWASP Zap. Okay, so you can download it. It's a free and open source software. So after opening it, let it load first. Okay, so now after loading it, you can see on the top there is a button for the browser to open. So this particular button will open a new browser with configured configured proxy. So now this whatever we open in this particular browser, it is captured inside the Zap proxy. Okay, so let me show you. So let me open the to do app that was there in the Chrome browser. Now I will open it in this particular website, in this particular browser, and let us see. So now we get the same app, but now what happens is I am actually getting whatever pages are being opened. So you can see the page that loaded over here. Okay, so that page is loaded, and after that the CSS gets loaded. Right now let me go to the add to do page and see what happens. So as soon as I did that, you can see over here it went to add to do.html page. Right now let's add something. So let's add test and click on save, and as soon as I do that, that gets added. Perfect. Okay, but now come over here and see there is a post request which is going to process.php, and that created it got a response of 302. Okay, so that means some resource is created, right? So now this I can right click and go to attack and go to fuzz. Okay, and you can see the message opens, right? And here you can see what is the body of the message. Okay, so the body of the message, this is the post request body. So here you can see there is a title which is test that we have typed and the action of add. Okay, so we are not going to change this, but we can select this part, that is the test, click on add, and again click on add, and I can add. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this many text at a time. So let's add some random text on each line. Okay, so I am so just to prove my point, I'm just putting some text, and at the end I will just say hacked and click on add and okay, and that's it. So now what I can do is I can start the fuzzer and let's see what happens. Okay, so let's start the fuzzer, and you can see it ran all the payloads, and all the payloads ran successfully. And now let's come here and refresh and see what has happened, right? So this completely violates our app, and it has entered so many data inside our app. So just imagine if this query is run a million times, so a million entries will be there in your to do app, right? So this is how this particular attack takes place. Okay, so now our job is to stop this. Right now, let's see how to stop this. Let's go back, and you can see our complete list, right? So all the entries we can see over here. Now we have to find a solution to this particular problem. Okay, so how to resolve this? So the reason why this is happening is when I do go to add new to do, so there is no the form doesn't have any identity, so when it was generated, right? So whenever you open the form anywhere in the world, the same form is opened, and so you are just submitting the form and that is getting reflected. So this is what the Zap tool is replaying it again and again and trying to do the entry. But if we add some unique data over here, okay, so like a captcha or something else, then that thing will change every time the page refreshes, and then the attack will not be possible, right? Because on not only the title has to change, the captcha or the token has to also match. Okay, so let's see how to handle it. So let's come to the add. Okay, so this is the add to do page. Now in this add to do page, first of all, I can I have to go to the page that is the add to do, right? So add to do.html, right? Now this is an HTML page, so it will not be possible for us to generate what do you say, a token here, right? So first step would be to convert this into a PHP. So let's save this as a PHP file, right? So once I do that, now first I have to change the link also now. So instead of add to do.html, I would say add to do.php. Let's try if everything is working, right? So let's refresh and let's go, and perfect. So things are still working. Now let's go to add to do.php. Now before it comes, before the page loads, basically what I want to do is, if you remember, we had a, let us open the process, and here we have a config file, and let's open the config file. And in the config file we have this config data, and in the database file we have the database connection as well as there is a session, right? So this session is what we want, okay, because we are going to store a token which is going to be stored inside the session, right? So let's include both these lines so that I can have access to it. So let me paste both these lines, and once I have that there, then now I have the session. I have started the session. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a token. So let's call this as token. Okay, and now it is up to you, how do you want to generate a token? Okay, so every time the page refreshes, this token should change. Okay, so let's see how we can get that token. So for that, what we can do is we can use, let's say, a random number and then generate a MD5 hash. But there is another proven method that you can use. So basically there is a random bytes option. So here you can say what length of random bytes you want, and after that you can convert this bytes into, these are will be binary, right? So binary to, let's say, hex. Okay, and that will generate a token, right? So let me show you what it generates. So let's echo token and refresh. So you can see this is a long number that is generated, right? So this is what I want. So now once I have this token, I have to store it inside a session variable, right? So let's do session. Okay, and inside that session I will save it inside a variable called token, and let's say the token is dollar token. Okay, so I have saved the session inside the token. So once I've added the token into the session, now I also have to send this particular token in through the form. Okay, so for that I will just duplicate the hidden element and call this as, let's say, token, and here the value should be the value of the token, right? So for that I will say echo dollar token, and that's it. Okay, so now if I come over my form and if I refresh, let's inspect and see what do we get. So inside the form you can see I have a token with a random number. Okay, so this is what I want. So now I have the token being sent from the form, and it is also sent set in the session. Okay, so now I have in the at the receiving end, that is in the process.php, where this form is going to be processed. There I have to first do the check whether the value that is stored in the session is same as the value that is passed from the form. Okay, so if that they are equal, that means there is no CSRF attack. Okay, so let's try that. So for that, after the validation of the title is done, I can do over here a simple check. There is a function called hash equals, which you can use to check two strings whether they are equal or not. Okay, so I will use that, and I will check if the data that is there in the session, that is the token, that is there in the session is the same as the token that is sent from the post field. Okay, so if both of them are same, then I should be doing the remaining things. Okay, if it is not same, okay, so if hash equals gives me false, that means they are not same, then I am going to run this command again. Okay, so let's run that. So here I have changed this, it was previously HTML, so because we have changed the file name extension, that's why I have changed at both the places. Let's save it, and now let's try it over here, and let's put some data and click on save. So that adds the data, right? So now it is too crowded. Let's delete a few of the entries so that we can see exactly what is happening. So delete, and now let's refresh. Let's add a new entry, click save, and that gets added, right? Because the session variable was correct. Now let's try to cheat, and let's say the session variable is not correct, or we do not send the correct token. Okay, so I'm sending some incorrect token. So now if I go to add new to do, and if I try to add something, it still works. Okay, so it's still added. So let's find out what is the problem. So let's comment this out, and let's say I will do a die, and I will say token mismatch. Okay, so this is what I'm going to say. So I don't want to go ahead if the token doesn't match, right? So let's try it once more, and let's add some data, click on save, and it says token mismatch. Perfect. Okay, so that is working. Now let's come back and replace and send the actual token. And now let's go back, refresh, and put some data and click on save. That gets added. Okay, perfect. So now our data, whatever we are adding, is completely protected from CSRF. Okay, so now the app that was there, that is the Zap app, if you try to run the attack again, that should not work. So let me quickly do the attack once more. Okay, so let's try to attack and see if our app is secure or not. Okay, so let's click on add to do, and let's say test 1. Let's click on save, and that is added. So that should be recorded. Now you can see that particular request is recorded. Let's do an attack, and you can see the token is being passed the action, and this is what we want to fuzz, right? So we will select that, click on add, and let's add 2 more just to test whether our attack was resolved or not, and see if there is some problem. So click add and click OK, and let's start the fuzzer. So when I still got the code 302. That means the resource was created, right? So that means something has went wrong. Let's refresh, and you can see I have test 2 and test 3 created. So there is some issue. Oh yeah, so one thing I forgot is I'm checking the whether the token is valid or invalid, and after that, if it is valid, it is coming at this place. Okay, but I am not clearing the token, so the purpose of the token in the session is over. Okay, so now what is happening is it is still saving the same token, and it is creating that the token is never changing, right? So what I have to do is, once the token is checked once, you have to immediately reset it. Okay, so now to reset it, there is a command in function in PHP. It's called unset, and you just have to provide whichever variable you want to unset. So I want to unset the session, click on save. Okay, so now let's try the fuzzing one more time. So let's go to history, and let's redo this attack. So let's select the parameter that we want to attack, click add, and let's add test 4 and test 5. Okay, so let's add 2 more, and let's start the fuzz. Okay, and the first one was completed. Okay, because the token did not change, I think maybe because of that, and the second one did not work. Okay, so that is because the token has changed. Okay, so now it will not work. So let us quickly do a bulk entry and see if that is working. So let's do a last and final attack. So let's add, and let's add a lot of entries. Okay, and click add, click OK. Now before I click start fuzz, I would like to refresh and see how many entries are there. So there are 4. 1 2 3 4. Okay, so let's see if this attack works. Click start, and you can see none of the attacks worked. Okay, except the blank entry. Okay, so we will see what is that. So let's refresh here and see what has happened. So there you can see there is no entry, no entry from inside the database. Let's refresh the database, and you can see only those 4 entries that we added during testing was there. Other than that, the new attack was not possible. Okay, so thus we have successfully resolved the CSRF attack problem in our app. Okay, so I hope this was informative for you. We will meet you in the next video. Till then, have a nice day.